I would like to give you a status update on the YAZ, Yasmin, and Ocella litigation and highlight some recent developments. There are now more than 5,000 individual lawsuits pending involving girls and women who took YAZ, Yasmin, and Ocella and suffered blood clots or gallbladder injuries. These cases are being handled in federal court multi-district litigation in East St. Louis, Illinois, and in state courts in Philadelphia, California, and New Jersey. My partner Brenda Fulmer and I are serving on the Science and Discovery Committees in the federal MDL. Bayer has produced over 40 million pages of documents, and dozens of depositions have been taken of Bayer scientists and executives in the United States and in Europe. The documents are being reviewed as I speak, but much of the discovery was produced subject to a protective order, so I'm unable to discuss any specific document or testimony. It appears, however, our suspicion that Bayer always intended to promote YAZ and Yasmin for the prevention of simple PMS symptoms proves to be true. That is against the law, since the FDA never approved YAZ, Yasmin, or Ocella for the treatment of simple PMS. You may recall the FDA forced Bayer to run a number of corrective television commercials informing consumers that its previous advertisements touting YAZ for the prevention of PMS were improper and violated the law. The evidence to date shows Bayer conducted an orchestrated campaign of off-label promotion through third parties, paid consultants, and others to promote the drugs for the prevention of simple PMS symptoms in an effort to evade the FDA regulations. It also appears that the drug's manufacturers knew as early as 2003 that YAZ could be twice as likely to cause blood clots as other oral birth control pills. We're working on leads right now that indicate that as early as 2001, there were red flags of potential blood clot issues. If this proves to be true, it will be very beneficial to your case. The first bellwether trial in the MDL was originally scheduled for September of 2011. That date was a little overly optimistic, and the judges pushed the trial date back to later in 2011 or early 2012. The law requires that the first MDL trial has to be for a YAZ user who lives within the court's jurisdiction, so we are unable to advance any of our firm's cases for trial at this time. Two recent medical studies support our theory that using YAZ could double or even triple a user's risk of suffering a serious blood clot or gallbladder injury. The first, published this April in the British Medical Journal, found that women using birth control containing the synthetic progestin drospirenone like YAZ and Yasmin tended to be younger and were more than twice as likely to suffer a deep venous thrombosis or pulmonary embolus when compared with other oral birth control pill users. That means using YAZ may double a user's risk of suffering a potentially fatal blood clot. The findings of this study are consistent with two previous studies, which also indicate an increased risk of blood clot events in women who used YAZ, Yasmin, and Ocella. The authors of the latest study concluded that drospirenone-containing oral contraceptives are not as safe as those containing other progestins and should not be the first choice in oral contraception. A second study, published recently in the Canadian Medical Association Journal, was the first to test whether drospirenone-containing birth control pills are more likely to cause gallbladder disease. While all oral birth control pills increase the risk of gallbladder disease, this study suggests that YAZ users are exposed to an even greater risk of developing gallbladder disease than those using other oral birth control. The study found a 39% increase in the incidence of gallbladder disease in patients using birth control containing drospirenone for more than 6 months. This was noted by the authors to be a small but statistically significant increased risk over birth control medications containing other progesterones. All things considered, lawyers representing injured YAZ users are pleased with the progress taking place in the MDL. Judge Herndon is pushing both sides to be prepared to try some bellwether cases. The results of those trials will tell us a lot about where the overall litigation is heading. If you want to read more about the YAZ litigation, feel free to take a look at the rest of our website. Thank you.